Call the meeting to order that the council of the town of Kindersley, having established quorum, resolves to call the May 11th, 2020 regular meeting of council to order at 5 p.m. Mover and seconder, please. Elise? Gary? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Quick check whether anybody saw anything on the consent agenda they want to move on the regular agenda. I don't think there was much. It was Sask Housing Report, Sask Water Report, RCMP Report, and the school property tax mill rates. All okay with that? So then I need a motion that the Council of the Town of Kindersley resolves to adopt the agenda for the May 11th, 2020 regular meeting of council as presented, and then a copy of this agenda be attached to and form part of the minutes of this meeting. I have a mover and a seconder. Councillor Baker. Deputy Mayor. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Also at this time, does anyone see anything on the agenda they want to declare a conflict of interest on? We didn't see anything this afternoon. We looked through it, so I don't think there is anything. Okay. And agenda item 4.1, that the Council of the Town of Kindersley resolves, whereas the time being 5:02 p.m., that the regular meeting of council be adjourned to a confidential in-camera meeting to review following items. Again, I need a mover and a seconder for that. Please, Councillor Anderson. Councillor Anderson. All in favor? Carried. Okay. Fire. Police. Second, Gary. All in favor? Okay. Oh, Brett, grab the podium there. I'll introduce him. For those that can't see him, he is hiding here, but we've moved him back for spacing requirements. So Brett Sotner from the Clippers has a proposal. So Brett, the floor is yours.
On the bench and I'll just yell. Shout.
Yeah, do that.
Yeah. First off, I'd just like to thank the town council. 2 years ago, I was here for the Clippers, kind of as a last resort to try to get us some deals or whatever have you on ice and stuff like that. We were a long ways from even with our paying our bills and stuff like that. I'm happy to say after 2 years of everybody giving a little piece of the pie, we got our bills paid up to the end of the year. So that's, I think, the first time since I've been on the board in 8 years that we've got there. So I would really like to thank you guys for all that. It was much appreciated. So the reason I'm here, I'm not going to take much of your time. We talked about this a couple of years ago. There was some people in town that were wanting to maybe buy these seats and donate them, but that never really went anywhere. And as we don't know if we're going to have fans and fundraising is going to be tough and corporate's going to be tough, I just thought this could be a way of making some money and making the facility better at the same time. And I just started Googling things as far as seating, because I know it's one of the complaints that I've had from our fans is that, it's not very comfortable sitting in that rank, especially when it's a little colder. So I sent out an email with the one seat that I found that was the best quality for the price. There was new ones that were 3 times the amount of these ones, but it was just something that I thought I would put out there before I went any further, and see if the town wanted to be involved, if they would let us do it. It would be part of our season ticket drive, where if you bought a season ticket for a certain amount, you would get a seat, and then we would we would mount it for you. So there's a bunch of questions that I had, whether it could do, if it had to be one section, if we could separate them, and then if we could even do it. So that's only, you know, it's just me trying to spitball and try to create a fundraiser plus helping out the facility.
I guess the one, we discussed it fairly extensively, Brett, before, and probably a major concern, it looks to me like those seats are a fabric type of thing.
Yeah.
Kids, fabric, Slurpees, stuff like this is a major concern. The cleaning of them, I think, would be an issue. I think if you get a, you know, and these are not arena seats, are they? They're
They can be used for, like if you go to,
they're theater type seats.
yeah, like you go to any NHL seats, they have fabric seats, right? That's what they have because they can afford it. I'm not sure what these were in, maybe they were at theater or they're Slurpees anyways. I mean, those are the questions I would have. The guy said he would send me one, so, and then you could see what kind of shape they are. I've done some measuring and internationally you need 34 inches from back to back between seating rows. We only have 30 inches, so when they built those, they kind of didn't get it right for seating. So no matter what you do, you'd probably have to only do every other row. And then if it did fill up, if your building ever did fill up, I mean, you could still sit in between the rows. It's just you couldn't have seating every row. So I figured the home end there where the bar is, I did some measuring a couple days ago and figure I could fit in about 133 seats in that going every other row if it was something that the town wanted to do.
So you abandoned, Brett, the thought of Buddy wants one over there and this guy wants two over here?
That's the way when I first thought of it, I did, but I just don't know if it would work. It would look kind of silly.
Yeah, think that.
So, and the reason why I did that was because people like to sit in their own spots, but the reason where I sit is because I have a backrest up in that corner. That's why I sit there. Well, if I have a chair, I can go sit over the backrest and not move. And so that section would be a great section because most of the people sit at that end. And then there is one section on the side, that I will probably do, look at doing so that people could buy those seats if they wanted.
Council, go ahead, whatever comments you have, fire away. Gary?
We talked earlier, and I don't think it'd be a great idea. I just think the ones, the basketball fiasco they had, is that 15 years ago?
25 years ago?
Yeah.
They all ended up in the landfill, and I just think if we're gonna do it, we should do it right, but I don't think we got the money at this time to do it right.
Right. I think the reason why those didn't work is the angle and they were plastic and it just wasn't fit for the right purpose of, digital. Just wasn't right.
Yeah, it was a complete
Yeah, wrong.
shit.
So I mean, if you're gonna do it, you would want a good seat with a cup holder and soft, and you wouldn't want plastic. Like if I'm gonna sit on a plastic seat that's cold, I may as well just sit on the wood.
Part of the concern too, Brett, was like if they were like all in the same area and let's say some of them were season ticket holder seats and there's a Pee-wee tournament and kids, little brothers and sisters are spilling shit all over them and stuff, and then the rink staff is getting complaints that my seats got mustard on it or those seats have never been cleaned. To wipe down a plastic or vinyl seat obviously is a pretty quick process. There was some head scratching as to how much time and shampooing or whose responsibility and how much extra work would it be for the rink staff to, whatever pop or whatever. That was a concern.
Now for him, maybe it's good with stain, maybe it's not, right? I mean, ideally, like I said, so the problem is, if, say we bought 100 of these used ones, just for instance, and we sold them to our season ticket holders, we put them in a section. Next year we want to buy another 100. Well, he doesn't have them anymore. He said he has a new one that looks similar to this, but it's 175 American. So now you're 3-4 times as much.
So these are 60 US, so $100.
Yeah, with shipping, I figure $100. Yeah.
Well, $60 US at the bank right now gets you about cost you about 100 Canadian.
Oh, it is, it is.
Well, my canceled trip before, yeah, I think I got $500 for 700 Canadian.
Yeah, and I don't know how much shipping will be and
Yeah.
that stuff. So, and I didn't want to do a whole bunch of research, but if you guys just said, no way, so.
Well, we had some proposals and they weren't well received. One thing that I have to admit, if a person was gonna try them based on that end zone where people sit for the beer gardens, at least it would look finished if you did a whole end.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I don't know that, you know, but it sure would be just having 6 here and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
5 over there.
Well, I can just drive where I sit, if you guys don't want to do it. I'll do
Council
my
Ross.
job.
Through the mayor to our delegation, I can appreciate that the Clippers are looking at different ways that you might be able to increase your revenue, as you likely will be seeing a downward turn in some of your corporate sponsors and stuff. However, based on our previous experience with those chairs or other type of arena chairs in there, it's not ideal with the widths, as you said, they're already too short as it is. We did have a lot of complaints back when they were in there, sight lines, comfort, all of that. But I guess for me, I am wondering why the Clippers would not maybe consider looking at more of a portable option versus having a fabric installed one, because you're not only looking at the cost of the chair, you're looking at the cost of now installing all those chairs. In addition to that, there's going to be time management and all that needs to be accounted for, and costs for cleaning and maintaining those. If the chair gets ripped, do we need to get it reupholstered, all of that. Whereas you can get a very comparable portable and comfortable arena chairs that you can sell to different users. You might even sell some to people who maybe not even Clippers viewers, but just interested in having that style of a chair and making your revenue that way, versus looking at a permanent option, a portable Clippers arena chair that the people would bring in and use.
Yeah, and that's definitely an option. The problem is that once you sell that, you've sold it and you'll never sell it again. Whereas this, we talk, every time they have a renewal of a season ticket, they gotta pay the same amount. So each year we get that amount. So if they're paying $100 extra per chair, we can maybe make it 50 or whatever the deal is, but to get a nice chair, you gotta pay the extra amount. And the first year, I'd like to get them paid for, so that the second year, it's great. And a portable chair doesn't have cup holders, and I understand that you can have a back on it, but there won't be the same comfort level. And I truly believe when they put that decking in there for that facility, they had in mind that someday they would put nice seating in there. So whenever that will be.
So that might even be the case, but do you think that they measured a different seat then? Because they wouldn't go to the pouring of all that concrete being short,
4 inches. They could be a different seat, maybe
Yeah.
those plastic seats that you can get would sit right on the top, but again, you're not 34 inches apart, so I can't answer.
Yeah.
It's really too bad. And maybe it's changed. Maybe it's went from 30 to 34. Maybe
That's a Canadian bylaw?
Well, I've been talking to this guy quite a bit. He said that's an international seating law. It's 34 inches back to back. So I took him for his word. He knew more about it than I did. But I wasn't going to start going through rules of seating.
Yeah.
So that's just what he said.
I think the general consensus is we're not probably very interested. It might be interesting to actually see a seat though and see what it looks like sitting there.
Would you be interested in me getting one? I mean, we don't have to do it this year. I mean, it was just an idea.
Yeah, it wouldn't hurt to get one just to
See what they're like.
see what they look like and
Or
just get
something
something
there.
to look at.
And see if it comes off, and I'll pay for it shipping. So
It wouldn't hurt just to look at it. At least that way we could see.
he's willing to send one, so.
Yeah, it's a bit, when you can't see how it's gonna look,
No, I understand.
that's what happened the last time.
And maybe a
But-
year from now, the dollar's a little bit better or whatever. And if it's something that we can build in our packages, maybe we can get sponsorship to get the new ones. I don't know. It was just, I didn't want to do a whole bunch of work and then you guys say, well, we're never going to put seating in there. So I wanted to do a little legwork with you guys before I start.
I don't think it's a never ever, but,
Yeah.
putting used seating in my mind is
Yeah.
maybe not the answer.
No,
What is new ones worth? 3,000?
175.
And then you could get them the way you like.
Yeah, but you're not going to do, like if you did 100, that's 17 grand. American.
And that doesn't necessarily solve our issue with the setback for
No.
your width.
Like, is that
If the
what
base
setback?
is already built too short.
No, because you'd have to add 4 inches every row.
I know, but can you shorten?
You'd be losing the amount of capacity that you could seat.
Well, I think you just couldn't do every row. I still think you could sit in those seats.
Right.
You could sit on the wood seats in between those rows if it was, we had, had a full barn or full rink. You can still use them, but you can't have seats closer than that. So, instead of having 6 inches or 7 inches between your knees and the guy in the back, you might have 3. So,
So
I don't know how many times the rink's gonna be full.
what would happen when it's not a Clipper game, like a rodeo?
I think they can use it. What I was gonna do is if somebody had bought a season ticket and they got a seat, I would put a sticker on it, reserved for Brett Sotner, Clipper games, junior Clipper games. That sort of thing. And then I thought you could do 100 a year and maybe in 10 years you have the rink done.
Councillor Anderson?
Through the mayor, Brett, wouldn't that look, well, in my mind, it would look silly if you did every second row. I don't think that would be too stylish or appealing.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I honestly don't think. They tried that years ago to sell a seat for $100 and put your name on the back, and it just didn't work.
What kind of seat was it?
It was seems like brought from Seattle or.
Oh, yeah.
Those were a complete disaster. Like,
It's not even,
I'm not sure if the Clippers will honestly, just being honest, I'm not sure if you're going to gain the value you hope to gain out of just selling corporate seats. When the grand scheme of it is about getting more people into the arena, not necessarily needing to have those already existing users just pay a little bit more in their fees. Like, I think the bigger focus for the Clippers ultimately needs to be getting more butts in those seats, getting more community connection, having your Clippers out in the community, meeting people, bringing them in, and through that you'll see a better pecuniary or a benefit to the Clippers financially than through this seat system, because this is ultimately something that will be an ongoing cost as well, because they will damage, you'll need to do repairs, you're going to have cleaning costs, you're going to have other issues that come along with it. And then I do kind of agree with the Councillor Anderson with the setup. I'm not sure if that's the way to go. I just question whether there might be
bringing in fans
different way we can look at.
100 times over. I mean, we're always doing those things and doing those things plus, right? We're trying to.
Takes years to build relationships.
Yeah, and I mean, we're trying to think outside the box all the time. And this was just one idea that we come up with. So, no, I don't disagree with any of that. It was just an idea. I thought it would help with the facility because I know it's not comfortable sitting on there. People have that complaint, and anybody who I talk to that have a season ticket that I approached with this idea thought it was a great idea. So, I mean, it depends who you talk to. I'd be willing to bring one in just so you guys can see and then make a decision as far as, going forward. Maybe it's a year from now that we look at it again.
Sometimes having that visual helps
Yeah.
too. Yeah, for sure.
I appreciate your time. That's all I have.
Thanks very much, Brett.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brett. Okay.
See you.
Take care. Okay, on to the agenda item 8.1. The council of the town of Kindersley resolves to adopt the town of Kindersley operating and capital budget for the year of 2020, and that the approved copy of said budget be attached to and form part of the minutes this meeting. CAO, Audrey.
Through the mayor to council. So yeah, we've had a few budget meetings starting last year and into this year. So we, went through it quite a few times. We've got it dwindled down so that we'll have a surplus of projected surplus of $320,756. And our I don't know if you want to touch base on the capital a bit, but the capital, get to it. The capital has in it for the year is doing the industrial area, half of the industrial area, so that's redoing the drainage and the roads in the industrial area. A new snow blower and a half-ton for the public works. We've got the recreation, so things like a dehumidifier, doing more rubber matting. The Kinsman Park Shack are some of the bigger ones. And then, of course, in utilities, we have the lagoon upgrade for $2.3 million, which is the second half of that project. The first half was done last year. And we are also doing some 13th Avenue drainage, which is up by the acreages just east of town there. So, not pretty much.
Thank you.
Ron, I just had a question, Audrey. Under the utilities, the $1.5 million and $3 million in 23 and 22 and 23, what is that, Audrey?
In capital?
Oh, okay. No, I'm just,
Sorry, I'm which one? Where?
it's line 19, the third one down, water treatment construction, water plant.
It's not till the 22.
Yeah.
That's not
Oh,
expensive.
that goes back to when we had the AECOM and Associated work together to try and do a study. So that's just redoing the water line and whatever. And that of course will depend on our growth. So whether that gets done we have bumped it back to 2022, but it could get bumped back even further.
Yeah, I just didn't understand that for sure, because I thought it was like 10 years ago, they pumped like 22 million in from the line from Essen up here, right to the water treatment plant. I thought everything was all,
It's not all twinned all the way up.
No, we did twin, like
right.
last night to Kindersley.
so is
and
that
twin.
basically what we're looking, okay.
That's pretty much what that would be. We'd be twinning
Right,
it. for us
okay,
to-
no, I didn't understand that, I thought,
Yeah.
And some other capacity
Yeah.
increases if we get to that point, but we're not quite there yet.
Thanks, Audrey. I'll just speak a bit on this before I call the motion. We worked pretty long and hard on this budget, and I'm very glad to be able to tell the taxpayers at Kindersley that your taxes will be approximately 10% less this year than they have in the previous 3 years. We take a lot of pride in the fact that for the past 3 years we did not increase taxes, and in fact this year we are able to reduce them by 10%, which will mean anywhere from $150 to $400 or $500 on a house depending on value. Just maybe a little bit of a history of how we got there. When we first were elected 3.5 years ago, I guess it is now, we said one of our goals was to cut overhead and try and streamline things. Over the past 3.5 years, I believe we've cut approximately $650,000 in wages and benefits. We've cut legal fees by a substantial amount. Advertising, corporate travel, I think the whole works came up to about $1 million. When we built the pool 2 years ago, I guess, when we started, we had anticipated having to borrow $3.5 million. We rolled back $1 million of that savings into that so that our debt was only $2.5 million. This past year, in 2019, I guess, we built the fire hall. And we're able to do that with no borrowing, no external borrowing. So this year, given the economy we're living in right now, both oil and COVID, we felt that it was time to pay back to our taxpayers. So this is kind of a one-time tax decrease of 10%, which we hope meets with everybody's approval. And given that, I will call for a mover of the motion. Mover and seconder, please. Elise. Randy. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. And we'll just carry on with the budgeting and agenda item 8.2, that the council of the town of Kindersley resolves to set the 2020 municipal property tax mill rate at 8.75 mills. Audrey, do you want to comment on that?
Yeah, so based on with the budget and what we needed to work with, we were able to lower the mill rate from 9.7 to 8.75. So.
Okay, we'll need a mover and a seconder for that motion. Chris, second, Gary. All in favor? Okay, thank you. Agenda item 8.3, that the council of the town of Kindersley resolves to direct administration to distribute approved funding to the following applicants to the community grant program 2020 spring intake. West Central Abilities, $750. Kindersley and District Library, $750. KCS Student Leadership Conference, $373.08, and the Kindersley Antique Thrashing Club, $750, for a total allocation of $2,623.08. And Chelsea, could you just comment on that, if you would, please?
So those projects will take place this year, and then I guess there's the remaining dollar value. You guys allocate up to $7,000 or $7,500. What you guys wish to do with the remaining amount of that?
Yeah, we did discuss it a bit, but
I think what you
Was
could
it,
do is just allow more allocation at the fall into.
yeah, we could do that too.
Yeah.
Because typically we allocate 15,000, 7,500 twice a year. We've obviously
Yeah.
only used a little over 2,500 of it this year, so we can reallocate that back to the fall intake and give a little more there. So could I get a motion? Oh, sorry.
I was actually just going to make an additional note on this, that there was some applications that were not approved, and that was strictly based on the fact that these events were unable to happen due to the COVID regulations. So we would anticipate that these activities would happen again next year, and that they would be able to reapply in the next intake. But for the ones we see on the list here that aren't receiving funding, it's just because the events weren't unable to happen.
Okay, so we'll leave that for the second intake. Could I have a mover and seconder on these, please? Rob and Chris. All in favor? 8.4, we were going to table for the time being?
Nope.
Or are we going to?
This is the regional park agreement.
Oh, I'm sorry, 8.4 is the regional park, that's right. That the council of town of Kindersley resolves to direct the mayor and CAO to enter into a municipal agreement with the RM of Kindersley number 290 and the RM of Newcomb number 260 for the purpose of further developing and operating the Kindersley Regional Park. I'll let CAO Audrey speak to that.
Yeah, so this is the agreement that we've now gotten for the regional park. And basically it's fairly identical to the previous agreement. There were some amendments to the land, because the land that's in the regional park has changed. But other than that, it's pretty much the same, similar agreement to the one that they had previous.
Okay. Any questions on that, council? Not, can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Please. Randy? All in favor? Carried. Okay. Agenda item 8.5, that the council of the town of Kindersley resolves to direct the mayor and CAO to enter into a non-exclusive occupancy license agreement with the K-Town Skyscrapers RC Club for the purpose of operating a remote-controlled airplane club on town-owned land. Chelsea, can you fill us in on that one?
So we just have an agreement with the skyscrapers just to use the property just south of town. And it's the same agreement as we've had previously, just a few date changes and point of contact change.
Okay. Any questions, council? No. I have a mover and a seconder, please. Gary? Rob? All in favor? Okay. Agenda item 9.1, that the council of the town of Kindersley resolves to accept as submitted the list of accounts as paid by the town of Kindersley in the amount of $327,253.52, and that a copy of said accounts be attached to and form a part of the minutes of this meeting. Did you have any queries on these, Audrey? I didn't
And I think you bought them this time.
So, yeah, I just had a couple, Audrey, sorry I didn't get to
That's okay.
about these, you can probably answer them very quickly. Laura's Environment, Elks Hall Waste, 33,000, was that?
That's for the whole thing. Sorry, I probably didn't catch that before I said it.
Okay.
That's for every department,
I
not
hadn't
just
heard we
us.
demolished the Elks Hall, so I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, and the other one was, there's a computer outfit here, Public Sector Digest, citywide software, 4,500.
That's our work order program.
Oh, separate from anything Merlin and JS does?
Yes, it's a program itself that we do our, it's got our work orders on it. It's an asset management program.
Thanks.
No other questions? Could I have mover and seconder, please? Agreed. Chris? All in favor? Okay. Now we'll do some bylaw reading. Agenda item 10.1A, that the council of the town of Kindersley resolves to approve the first reading of bylaw 03-20, being a bylaw to establish mill rate factors. Explain that to us.
Sure. So one of the tax tools that a municipality can use is a mill rate factor, which the town of Kindersley has done for, I don't even know, the last 15, 20 years. And so basically, with the mill rate factors, it just allows council to, because we're not a city can tax each one separately. So industrial could have something different than residential, but a town doesn't have that ability. So this just kind of gives them ability to shift the tax burden a little bit more, say onto commercial who can write it off versus residential. End of the day, the mill rate factors, no matter what they are, have to equal the amount that you would collect should you not use them. So if you took our tax base times the 8.75 that our mill rate is, that's the same amount of money that you can collect with your mill rate factors. So you just have to determine that way. And basically what we did is we used the 9.7 and just adjusted them down a little bit to account for the 10% decrease in the mill rate.
Any questions, council, on that? If not, let's move it and second it, and we'll read 3 more times. Randy, all in favor? Okay, 10.1B, that the council of the town of Kindersley resolves to approve the second reading of bylaw 03-20, same explanation as the first reading. Mover and seconder, please. Gary? Chris? All in favor? Carried. Okay. 10.1C, that the council of the town of Kindersley resolves to approve that 3 readings be given to bylaw 0320 at the May 11, 2020 regular meeting of council. Mover and seconder again, Gary and Elise. All in favor? Carried. Finally, 10.1D, that the council of the town of Kindersley resolves to approve that bylaw 0320 being a bylaw to establish mill rate factors be read a third time and hereby be approved, and that the approved copy of this bylaw be attached to and form part of the minutes, part of these minutes. Mover and seconder for the last almost time. Randy, Gary. All in favor? Okay. Oh, we've got another set here, sorry. Agenda item 10.2A, that the council of the town of Kindersley resolves to approve the first reading of bylaw 0420 being a bylaw to provide for minimum amounts of tax. Can you give us one explanation for 4 motions?
Sure, do the mayor to council. So this is a minimum tax account. This is another tax tool that is allowed to council to just bring in. So if we have bare land or just very small properties, we don't get much of a tax base on them. So this allows you to put a minimum tax on, say for instance, if they have a hotel and then they have a little lot beside it and that lot doesn't generate hardly any revenue. So this allows you to put a minimum tax on, and maybe some of the residents that are, you know, a little on the smaller side, gives you that as well. We only passed, last time we passed this, I do believe was in 2014. We haven't changed our minimum tax since then. We had to do that this year because we are lowering it to 10%, just like we lowered the mill rate for the other people that are using it. So these minimum taxes are lowered by 10% to account for the other decrease.
Okay. Any questions, council, on that? Not, we'll have the first of the 4 movers and seconders, please. Rob? Elise? No? Okay, I'll get you. All in favor? Second time through, that the council of the town of Kindersley resolves to approve the second reading of bylaw 0420. Mover? Chris? Seconder, Randy, all in favor? Carried. 10.2C, that the council of the town of Kindersley resolves to approve that 3 readings be given to bylaw 0420 at the May 11, 2020 regular meeting of council. Mover and seconder for this, please, Gary. Rob, all in favor? Honest, this is the last one of these. Agenda item 10.2D, that the council of the town of Kindersley resolves to approve that bylaw 0420 being a bylaw to provide for minimum amounts of tax be read a third time and hereby be approved, and that the approved copy of this bylaw be attached to and form part of these minutes. Mover and seconder. Chris. All in favor? Okay. Oh, okay, here's one for me. Agenda 11.1, resolution, whereas public works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to the public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of Kindersley. Whereas these infrastructure, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals, who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government and the private sector, who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment and solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential to our citizens, and whereas it is in the public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and children in Saskatchewan to gain knowledge of and to maintain a progressive interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs in their respective communities, and whereas the year 2020 marks the 60th annual National Public Works Week sponsored by the American Public Works Association and Canadian Public Works Association. Therefore, I, Mayor Rob Perkins, do hereby designate the week of May 17th to the 23rd, 2020 as National Public Works Week in the town of Kindersley, and that the Council of the town of Kindersley encourages all residents to join in activities, events, and ceremonies designed to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, and to recognize the substantial contribution they make to protecting our national health, safety, and quality of life. Kim, this is your department.
It is. Normally every year we do like a public works barbecue, something to show appreciation, but this year due to COVID-19 we won't be able to do that, so we'll maybe be able to do that in the near future, but we just want to, I guess, show our appreciation for those that do work, you know, for the essential service. A lot of times it's not necessarily the, you know, most glamorous type job, and I think they do a really, really good job out there.
Absolutely. Given that, yes, we will try to, perhaps in the fall, we can have that barbecue. Could I have a mover and a second for that motion, please? Elise and Chris? All in favor? Thank you. Agenda item 12.1, that the Council of the Town of Kindersley resolves to approve the consent agenda, including the following correspondence items from Sask Housing, Sask Water, Kindersley RCMP stats for April, and the Minister of Government Relations confirming the property tax mill rates for education property tax mill rates for 2020. Have a mover and a seconder, please. Andy. Second, Rob. All in favor? Thank you. Okay. Agenda item 16.1. The Council of the Town of Kindersley resolves that all business having been concluded, the May 11th, 2020 regular meeting of Council be adjourned at 7:42 p.m. Mover, seconder for that one. Oops, Elise. Rob, all in favor?